The 49ers are traveling to New York cross country here to take on the New York Giants. Thoughts on the Giants offense? No Cam Scatterbo in there anymore for them.
Yeah, I mean, the run game, look, that's really what has spurred the Giants to success lately, right? Jackson Dart starting, Cam Scatterbo being the featured back. Now Scatterbo is out, so it's back to a lot more of Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary, and they're still going to have to be great in the run game because you don't have Malik Neighbors on the outside either, and they weren't winning with the passing game anyway. But you look at this 49ers run defense, they've been a really tough unit to get through, and they're much improved from last year. The defensive line is still very, very young. Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, guys like that. But to me, the story of this 49ers defense, the run defense, is their ability for second-level defenders to rally to the football and prevent explosive runs from happening. If you take their linebackers and their defensive backs, that unit is second in the NFL in run defense grade. They rally to the football. They're fast. They make tackles. They disallow yards after contact, as you see on that top line there. And what that does is disallow explosive runs. And then eventually they're creating tackles for loss and tackles for no gain at the line of scrimmage as well. So I think, look, their defensive line, it's a work in progress. I do think the first-round pick, Michael Williams, looks comfortable in run defense. And we expected that with him being such a great run defender out of Georgia. But I think it's the fact that all these young guys, when you look at an Upton Stout, a Marcus Siegel, a Tatum Bethune filling in for Fred Warner, he's been really good so far in run defense. That hasn't been a big issue yet. Up on the defensive line, little shakier, but when you have such a fast and aggressive group of guys behind you who are getting the job done at this level, you don't get beat for those big explosive runs. You keep your defense out there in good situations. Maybe it is 3rd and 4, and then you just see where you make a play. But the Niners, it's not always pretty, but those athletes on the back end right now, those young kids are getting it done in the run game.
I don't really know what to think of this game, and I know that that's not really great as a tune in for analysis type of show, but like this game is, you just don't know what version of these teams are going to show up, specifically with what kind of cornerstone of the offensive identity that Cam Scatterbo was for the New York Giants. I mean, I know that Jackson Dart has done a great job transforming what they're able to do from a dual threat perspective from the quarterback position, but you look at Tyrone Tracy. I went back and I watched a lot of Tyrone Tracy's carries from this year earlier this morning as I was prepping for the show. He is just not nearly as decisive of a back with his ball carrier vision and his confidence like Scatterbo was. And I sort of tried to find, okay, well, is he a little bit more comfortable with outside zone stuff and mid-zone stuff, or does he like going between the tackles? And I think he likes being in space a little bit more as an outside zone and mid-zone runner, which the Giants still do plenty of. I know a lot of people, when they think of Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart running QB power, like, oh, that means it's just between the tackle stuff. They did plenty of stuff to the outside as well. They were really able to rotate that into their run game. So those plays still existed, and I think he's a little bit more comfortable there, but even that, I felt like there was a little bit of hesitancy. So, truth be told, without Malik Neighbors, without Cam Scatterbo, I don't know what this offense is going to look like for the New York Giants, and then specifically for the 49ers. I think the Niners offense is going to look better by default this week, but you look at what they were able to do last week, and I understand they didn't have the ball very often last week. Their time of possession was way down, but they were 3 for 9 on 3rd downs last week. 7 of their 9 total drives, Dalton, were 4 plays or less. They just, second down specifically, they really struggled. 48.7 passing grade on second down. And there were a handful of second downs that were, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 14, like whatever it was for them, where they were facing a longer second down situation and the passing game just was not good enough for them. So through all the injuries that the 49ers have as well, I just don't know what version of this team I'm getting every single week. Not having Ricky Pearsall, not having Brock Purdy. Some of those receivers have been in and out with their own injuries, and George Kittle getting back last week, but he wasn't a big part of the offense outside of a couple of throws like that touchdown throw. There really wasn't much that they were just doing to get him the football. And then even the week before, he had it was the week before that was his first week back, and he had 2 targets, but I don't think he had any catches either. So the offense just, to me, lacks an identity right now. And this game is a complete toss-up, in my opinion. I'm going to go with the 49ers because I just have a little bit more faith in Kyle Shanahan to bounce back and find that identity this week. I'll go with them 21-17. They're almost those 3-point favorites. They're a 2.5-point favorite there on the road, but What do you think about this game?
I'm going to take San Francisco 24-17. I think Kyle Shanahan can find a way to work through this one. We'll see which quarterback is playing as well. Not sure yet if it's going to be Brock Purdy coming back or if it's going to be Mac Jones, but either way, they'll need to get rid of the football quickly against this really talented Giants defensive line. But I actually do like the idea, even though Kittle hasn't been as involved in the passing game as usual, the fact that he and Kyle Juszczyk and Luke Farrell and those guys are blocking so well up front. I think you also have to look at that Texans game too. They had no pass rush, and that Texans defense they have the lowest scoring defense. They have the best scoring defense, I should say, in the NFL, giving up less than 15 points per game. I think they just kind of got dominated in the trenches on both sides in that game. Could that happen against the Giants? Sure, but I don't love the loss of Scadaboo because he was really the guy keeping them on schedule on offense. We'll see what the pass protection looks like for the Giants against the Niners pass rush, and interestingly enough, they traded for Keon White from New England. He's another one in that edge defender rotation now, but I like the Niners. I think this is a game where Kyle Shanahan just finds a way to get it done on the road here.